You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community and forum, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from fresh farm ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind.
Well, good morning and hello, kids, and welcome to Season 3 and episode number 86 of the Daily Beaver here on the Crier Media Network. Today, recording day is, well, it's March 28th. I believe we are Tuesday, if I remember correctly. It's been a weird sleep, unfortunately. But yes, and it's going to be a mixed sky day here at the Beaver Lodge. I'm your host, the Eager Beaver, pronouns he and me, Mr. Beaver A. And with me, as always, is my good friend, my constant companion, Mr. Grizzly. Of course, a big thank you goes to our podcast's founding sponsors, the Peppermaster, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, and CanadianTarot.com. Good morning, Kit Jen. Good morning, Kit Jim. Good morning, Kit Linda M. Kit Daniel. Kit Ellen. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We have a Tuesday morning nibble for you, but before we get started, well, let's say hello to Mr. Grizzly and ask him, sir, how's your mental health today?
Well, good morning, Mr. Beaver. I think my mental health is good, actually. Did an ASMR last night, discussed it. Had kind of a strange work day yesterday, but sometimes technology fails, and when that happens, it just puts everything into a tailspin, as you well know from this milieu, this medium, where when things go sideways, they can really throw your day off, because so much of our work life today is based around technology.
Right.
So when things go sideways, they can be troublesome and it can give you a headache. But I managed to get through my work day and discussed it last night in the chat. So, yeah, looking forward to today. I got a very busy day in the office, multiple meetings I have to chair. I'm the tech guy, right? So, I'm not actually the chair.
Gotcha.
I don't want to mislead anybody. That would mean I would earn enough money to, not live in abject poverty. But here's the thing. I'm looking forward to today.
Oh,
and I think it's going to be a good one. Well, just lots of meetings, and I enjoy my job. I enjoy being in the office. And I also enjoy having the 2 days to work from home as well. But I like the 3 days a week that I'm in the office. And it's been that way for over a year for me now. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with the schedule and the work-life balance that I have. So yeah, things are good. Things are good mental health wise. So yeah, I think today's going to be a good day. How about yourself? How you doing? What you feeling? What you thinking? Where you going? How you been?
I'm doing very well. My beaver sweetie's recovering well. He's got a full weight bearing on his leg, and all
Well,
that
that's
kind of
good.
stuff. Walking. Yeah. Last night was restless sleep on his part because it's the ankle. So if you're rolling to one side and rolling to another, it's not comfortable. So yes, I was kept up a lot with the movie, as opposed to the other nights where he slept like a log.
Mm.
So I'm thinking that maybe like 3 or 4 days after surgery is maybe where some discomfort might start as some of the swelling starts to go down.
Right.
Maybe. So yeah, we're in that phase. Personally, I'm in curling playoffs now.
Oh, okay.
We have one match left on Wednesday from our regular 2-person stick, but all my other leagues are finished, and I'm waiting to hear about when we start playoffs in them. So I'm getting excited for that. And rehearsals for the play that I just got cast in start on the 17th, although I am... when they asked me whether or not I'd audition, I was just there, so I filled out the form. But it's after I got the role that I came back and started looking at my calendar and realized I've got conflicts.
Of course, that's life.
I've got conflicts big time. Like the choir I sing with, we're recording an album.
Oh, really?
And yeah, and apparently we're on stage for 2 of the 3 recording days, so I'm rehearsing all of this for.
You bit off more than you could chew, did you?
And it's not like they can change the show date.
No, you're SOL, brother. You're SOL.
Yeah, I'm SOL. So like my best chances to call the choir director and say, on the Saturday when we have the only matinee we have, because usually they're in the evening, which I would have been able to record, but that particular Saturday is the matinee. Is it possible that we could record real early in the morning? So at 9?
Well, if you don't ask, you don't receive, right? So
like this. Well, it's either going to be at 9 or it has to be after 6, right? Because on the last day you strike the set as well, and it's not like it doesn't matter who you are. You could be the star of the show. Like you could have people waiting for you. When you're a part of the play, you're part of the team. It's like it doesn't matter if people drove 12 hours to come and see you. It's like when it's time to strike the set, you strike the set, and they wait. You're not special.
That's true. It's just how it goes. It's how it goes.
Part of the team. So I'm as Jen says, busy beaver. Playoffs, choir, play. Have a murder mystery coming up. Then the other play that I got roped into pleasantly, because it might be my. I'm going to get to tango in this one. Gee, that's coming up in the end of April, and so yeah, and then another play at the end of July. Arsenic and Old Lace. So I'm going to be a very, very busy beaver. And also...
Arsenic and an old lace. How is that even possible?
Arslick your old face. And I'm really, 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 really excited about April 9th because I am going to see my favorite band in the world in concert.
Depeche Mode.
In Quebec City, yes. And their new album is great. And their new single is great. Ghosts Again. It is literally perfection.
Has Depeche Mode been going since what, 1979 or 80?
I would say 80.
Yeah, but so at least 43. 80s, at least 43 years.
Yeah, but it could be late 70s too.
Yeah.
And but it's actually surprisingly upbeat because the whole album is called Memento Mori, and it's in honor of their keyboardist Andrew Fletcher, who died.
Right. Well, usually Depeche Mode is rather dark and dreary and moody and, in weird ways, the godfathers of goth.
Yeah.
For the sound.
For the sound,
right? I mean, goth has splintered in a million ways since they first started, but they always had sort of that gothic, dark, dreary, depressive sound.
Yeah. And the album does have that, but this particular song, for some reason, Ghost Again, it has that. It has everything but it seems to be bright.
I'll have to check it out because I haven't had a chance to listen to it yet.
Interesting, because Martin Gore has a good baritone, but sorry, David Gahan has a good baritone, but Martin Gore has a great tenor. So their voices blend really well together on this song. So I am very, very, very excited. Plus, I get to go to Quebec City to go see the concert, which is one of my favorite cities in the entire world, where I will have some fondue at La Grola. I will have a fondue fest, cheese fondue to open, Chinese fondue just in the middle, and a chocolate fondue to end.
You're going to fondue the hell out of Quebec City.
So, yes, it's going to be a happy me weekend.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I've got something for you that I guess you're not aware of.
No, you're probably right, because I fell asleep on the floor at 8 o'clock yesterday evening. I was so tired.
Well, you just talked about your beaver sweetie and how he's able to put pressure on his ankle and not roll it.
Oh, no, you're telling me Biancaaaa.
Yeah.
I watched.
Nice to see a player in such distress, and that's fairly... Oh, no. She's had so many problems with injury, hasn't she?
What can I bring? What do you need? I've never felt this before.
Okay, that's all I can take.
I watched that. I watched that happen because I fell asleep on the floor because I was watching the match and then there was a rain delay. And then I was just laying on a hard surface to sort of like just alleviate some pain in my back. And then when I turned the match back on, I was watching it. She's playing Ekaterina Alexandrova, who showed incredible sportsmanship, by the way.
Oh, yes.
During all of that, she actually went and got her ice and all of that. But
I just feel bad for Biancaaaa because she's had a couple of rough years injury-wise, right?
She really has.
COVID, and damn.
And she was playing well. She was winning in that set. She had lost the first set 7-6 tiebreaker, but she was up 2-0 in that set. I've screamed like that only a few times in my life. I was a dancer. I screamed like that only a few times in my life.
And those are severe injuries.
I recognize that scream. That is not a good scream.
No.
And that the screaming kept on like for several minutes, and she actually screamed like this. I've never felt pain like this in my life before.
Yeah. It's I just hope it isn't career ending for her, but it could very well be. Yeah. Or it's severely career hampering for her in the sense that she'll, will she ever be able to play at the same level that she once did? Because the thing is, maybe they can physically recover 100%, with some of the new sports medicine today. It's quite amazing what they can do, but the psychological barrier is there. Instead of pushing yourself past that, pushing yourself to the edge of the envelope and sometimes past it. And that may sound kind of silly in tennis, but you move fast in that sport. Your knees and your ankles take torture. And if she's going to be, have that psychological barrier of, I'm going to hurt myself, you're going to hold back and you're never going to be able to be yourself again, which was always the fear I personally had for Erik Karlsson when his Achilles tendon was 1 millimeter from being sliced in two. Yeah. The fact that he was able to come back and play hockey at all at the NHL level was mind-numbing to me. And, he had a successful career after that. But it's, it's going to take a lot of psychological work to get through this period.
Well, that was the thing for me when I had the surgery, when I had my legs fixed, because they had to actually break my leg to fix it. And then I had to learn to walk all over again from scratch. I rebuilt my leg. For about 10 years, I did not jump. I did not run. I made that thing like you would not believe. And I think it was like, several years ago, I was playing tennis with a friend, and again, I was just sort of like sauntering around the court, and if the ball was a little too far, I wasn't going to go for it. And then at one point, I was just playing one day, and I just realized, wait a minute, I sprinted like hell for that, didn't I? I had got so much into the game that I'd forgotten to baby my knee, and I was like, oh, wait a minute, I can do this. But that was like a solid 15 years after the surgery.
Yeah.
I was scared.
So at that point, if she was to go that long between being able to go, push her to the level, it's like her career would be well over. So when I tore my shoulder a few years ago.
Yeah, I was happy just to be able to be walking and like dance a little bit in a club, and that was good enough for me. I wasn't going to push it.
Well, when I tore my shoulder a few years ago, that was that's it for paddling sports for me. No more dragon boating. Nope, not doing it anymore. I cannot go through that pain ever again.
Yeah.
It was the worst thing I'd ever experienced. And
Well, that's the thing too, right? It's like that was whenever my knee would go, I would, when you have like sounds in your body, that cavernous echo feel, because I can hear the sound my knee makes when it dislocates. Like it's etched in my memory, like that statement that Kristen Blasey Ford said, like indelible in the hippocampus, is that sound. Like this, and that sound is sickening, right?
Oh yeah.
And it's just like, ugh. So yeah, nobody likes to see that. What happened to Biancaaaa there? That's just rough.
It's harsh. In positive news, though,
Yeah.
you remember Dave Tiger Williams?
Okay. Yes.
You remember who he was, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hockey player, played in the NHL for about 14 seasons. He has the most penalty minutes in NHL history.
Mm-hmm.
Always said he wasn't very smart, but he's worth about $2 or $3 billion. He's
Okay.
kind of smart when it comes to real estate, anyway. So last night in overtime shootout, Michael Pezzetta, who plays for the Montreal Canadiens, this was in Buffalo. And I got to show you this. I'm just going to show you the tail end. So it's about 5 seconds worth. We can get away with that.
Okay.
So check this out. This is his celebration after he scored against Buffalo. Doing the Tiger Dave.
I like that. Oh,
Riding the stick down the ice and pointing at the Habs fans in the stands. I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah, Tiger Dave was famous for that. That's and Michael Pezzetta. There's a story about it in the Montreal Gazette, and he was saying after scoring the winner, it was definitely a tribute to Tiger Williams. I think it was just like, heck, I might never get a chance where if I score, it's to win the game. I know maybe it was a little bit much, but it's funny, and I think I'll definitely remember it. So I thought, yeah, that's a cute little, a sad story to start the show and a happier story to start the show. And we're going to send our best wishes and thoughts to Biancaaaa that she has a quick recovery. I mean, I don't know her from a hole in the wall, but you hate to see somebody suffer when she's at work, right? She was injured on the job at work.
Yep, and she had just managed to get herself back into the top 32, which means that she was a seed again. Just all that hard work.
So here's hoping, she can recover and get back to her top level playing.
Yeah, I agree. We have other things in the news. There was lots of things I wanted to talk about, but one of the things that has come up is stateside. There's been another shooting.
Mm-hmm.
And this time, because it happened at a Christian private school, and it was a former student, and the former student happens to identify as transgender.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Everybody, right, can be a shooter, right? It's like when they did the movie Basic Instinct many years ago, and Sharon Stone was playing a bisexual character who may be a serial killer, and everybody lost their minds.
Yeah.
Like, you're portraying gays as serial killers. Well, it's like, why can't we be serial killers?
Yeah, it's I know that.
No, but I mean, right? It's like anybody can be, doesn't matter. So, but they are deciding that they are not going to focus on the part about guns. They're focusing upon the part about trans.
Of course, because, that's the part that kills people.
Yeah. So you've got... Yeah, I know. You've got people like, I'm not even going to show the thing, but Marjorie, perjury, traitor, greed. How much hormones like testosterone and medications for mental illness was the transgender Nashville school shooter taking? Everyone can stop blaming guns now. Yes, because every single school shooting or just general mass shooting in the history of the United States up until this point was done by a transgender person that nobody knew was transgender. Like, and not only just transgender, but transgender in the process of perhaps transitioning, so on hormones and all that stuff, right? Just
Well, it's
I'm like,
one of the things when this happens. They always bring up Dunblane in Scotland 26 years ago. A gunman committed a mass shooting in Scotland. And immediately afterwards, the UK enacted very strict gun laws. You know how many mass shootings they've had or school shootings they've had in the United Kingdom? The whole of the United Kingdom since that day in 1996?
I believe the number is 0.
That is correct, sir.
Hmm.
So I would say gun reform and gun restrictions and gun laws and gun regulations work. And as Army Chris has said, he said on the podcast, he goes, most people should never hold a gun. He's a gun guy, but he'd be the first one to tell you, look, legislation, training, licensing, all of these things play into it, because you give a gun to the average person and they're going to shoot themselves.
Yeah. So you got stuff like this going on. The female Nashville shooter identifies as a man. Should we just blame white men again? Again, perjury, traitor, greed. We have this one here.
What a ridiculous
Traitor taught. How soon till terrible tragedy of Nashville shooting is totally out of the news now that the shooter is known to be trans. And then this one, of course, Laura Ingraham. Just like this big meme. A trans killer. Never will a shooter have gotten so much coverage.
Oh no.
In this case, the story is going to be the shooter,
Of course.
not the victims.
Well, one of the arguments yesterday was, well, we should just start arming the teachers and giving more armament to the security guards, because that worked real well in Uvalde, Texas, where 376 police officers showed up and not one of them did a damn thing to stop the shooter because they were afraid of the shooter who had an AR-15 and was loaded up with ammunition. Good guy with a gun theory goes right out the window there. One person with an AR-15, 376 police officers. And they did nothing.
Right.
So piss off with that shit. Don't come to me with that. Because there's not an argument you can make that will present that will make sense. Not a one. Gun control works. And if you're freaked out about, well, what if the government, you ever heard of a Black Hawk helicopter? How about an F-22 or an F-35 or a drone? There's a comedian who does a bit where he says we should have the national NRA versus the government games, where you've got two guys from the military and you've got a group of 150 or 200 of these NRA AR-15 my rights fellas. He says they'll all stand around in a circle and say, here's the show, here's how it starts. And the interviewer says to the end, are you ready? Well, I'm armed up. I got my AR-15s, I got my semi-autos. We're ready to go. Woohoo, let's get started. And okay, and sir, your name? I'm Sergeant Bilko in this sense. And I'm a drone operator. Are we going to get started? Yeah, you can go ahead and get started. Okay, I'm just, there's my drone, and I'm going to launch a couple of missiles, and they're all dead, so that's it. Yeah, and that's the end of the NRA versus the U.S. government games for this year. It's, once again, it is 1 for the government and 0 for the NRA again this year, because a drone with high-powered missiles will take out anybody with an AR-15. The absurdity of it all. You've lost your mic, sir.
Sorry. I've heard that clip. I've heard that comedy bit. It's just these people.
Yeah.
They think because they have that much power in their hands that,
Well, they have a, well, you know what the gun is making up for, right?
Yes, I do. And then this Mr. Grizzly Few has been going around with regard to.
Aren't you guys tired of covering this?
Yeah, we can't show this for too long.
Having to cover all of these mass shootings. I'm from Highland Park. Family vacation with my son, visiting my sister-in-law. I have been lobbying in D.C. since we survived a mass shooting in July. I have met with over 130 lawmakers. How is this still happening? How are our children still dying, and why are we failing them? Gun violence is the #1 killer.
That's
So,
as much as we can show of that.
She just basically, as the cameramen were like packing everything up, she just basically walked up to the mic and started talking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw that. I saw that as well. We got to be cautious about what we can air because I have to put a disclaimer that has aired in the United States, so they might shut us down for that one. Just giving you the heads up.
Okay. I don't know how now this was able to use the clip then, but anyway. So yeah.
Well, that's on Twitter. That's
Lots
different.
of-
This is a rebroadcast, right? So
gotcha.
that's the difference right
Gotcha.
there. Right?
Gotcha. That's the difference right there. Okay, gotcha. So yeah, just sad things going on.
Yeah, it's all terrible.
All around. And of course, it's just another opportunity for the hyenas to gather and start feasting on the carcass.
Yeah.
I mean, the bodies aren't even cold yet.
No.
Yeah.
This is not the time to
here in-
discuss politics. Yeah, no, this is exactly the time to discuss it. Exactly the time to discuss it.
Yeah. Indeed. Right. Today is the big news in Canada is that it's budget day. So Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland has bought her shoes and will be delivering it today. A lot of journalists will be in lockup most of the morning and early afternoon until the budget is officially tabled in the House of Commons. And then they'll be free to talk more about it. However, there is some preview talk about it. It appears that the budget will contain a one-time grocery payment, a one-time administered through the GST credit, which will affect 11 million Canadians at a cost of about $2 billion. It's labeled as a grocery credit. It will be a one-time payment of $200 to $500 that can be used on anything. So, as Jagmeet Singh said, we've been calling for doubling of the GST rebate, which is putting more money in people's pockets. It looks like that's been rebranded a grocery rebate. So it's basically a doubling of the GST rebate for this fiscal year as well, but they're calling it a grocery rebate. Now you've got people well, how would I put it? You've got people wondering why it, on the conservative side, of course, wondering how it is that people are going to make sure that these people who are getting this government largesse will be spending this on groceries, and how it's so terrible that they're not obligated to spend it on groceries. Because, yes, today conservatives want another extra level of costly bureaucracy to make sure that the most vulnerable on us have as little flexibility with their money as possible. Oh, wait a minute. Now I see why it is that you want that. I see why it is that you want more verification for people who qualify to get a GST rebate to see if they spent the money on food than you want, let's say, bankers getting CEWS money, for example.
Oh, you don't even need to get me started on that one.
Punch down on the poor. They found that out in the United States too, as well, when they're hiring all these new IRS employees. And the Republicans are saying they're coming to get you. It actually turns out that the IRS wasn't able to do tax returns and audits at the level that they could do in the 1960s. So they would always do audits of people that were very, very poor.
Yeah, because
they could be done quickly, they could be done online, and they didn't have the money to fight.
Yeah, punch down. Always punching down. Or as they called it in CRA under the Harper years, low-hanging fruit.
Now, you have conservatives like Garnet Jenness, who I do not know how it is that he is still in caucus. Because every time I hear a conservative talk about they care about gay rights, in any way, shape, or form. It's like you are sharing benches with the man who literally campaigned for years to keep literal torture legal longer.
Mm-hmm.
And you have not made him suffer any consequence. You have not booted him from caucus, and you still sit with him. So don't come and tell me. But this freak, anyway, said, this money helps, but it's not addressing the core problem, which is out of control inflation across the board. I think people will be able to see through that. Well, of course people will be able to see through that, because this money is not meant to deal with the issue of controlling inflation. This money is meant to help the most vulnerable among us deal with the impacts of the core problem. The whole of the budget and everything that the Bank of Canada is doing, that's what hopefully will address inflation. This particular bit of money is not there to help address inflation, to help you. It's to help address the fact that you can't afford inflation. So I don't know what the hell he's talking about.
I don't know. He's
Parler pour parler. Talking for talking.
of course.
Really.
Well, I don't know if you saw any of the responses that Glenn McGregor got for reporting on, Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland makes traditional new shoes purchased in advance of tomorrow's federal budget. A pair of simple black heels from Simons on sale for $112.94 all in. The replies to that tweet, oh my God, unbelievable. The thing is, when the finance minister was a man, they usually bought a pair of $500 Clarks or Dax or something to that extent.
Right.
$500 to $600 Oxford brogues or wingtips, or right?
Right.
And it was like, there's this new shoes for them. They've been doing this since 1955.
And whenever they had to show restraint or showing they were getting to work, then it would be pair of sneakers.
Yes. So she buys a pair of comfortable heels from Simons, which is a Canadian company. They have a store here in the Rideau Centre in downtown Ottawa, for $112.94. And people are freaking out about this. And I'm like, I wonder, would they have freaked out if it was a man? Would they have freaked out if it was a con man? Pun intended.
Mm-hmm. See, the thing with that question, that like normally I would say the answer that you would expect. And then the other side goes, but then again, this is the party that got really upset when Trudeau bought nice donuts from
a Canadian company.
So, and like I'm sitting there and it's like, let's see, could it be a female thing, or could it just be that true liberals breed thing?
Well, the donut
maybe
one
it's 2 in 1.
The donut one is the one that kills me. They freaked out because he spent all this money on donuts for his support staff from a local donut maker in Winnipeg that pays their employees a living wage, gives them proper vacation time and sick pay. And they freaked out.
It's all that virtue signaling. They went nuts.
Like, he's supporting the man. No matter what he does, he can't win.
Right. But they complain about the virtue signaling, but complaining about poor people getting an extra $200 and, oh my God, are you sure that they're going to spend it all on groceries? That's not virtue signaling. Right?
No. Who cares if they spend it on cigarettes? The money's just going right back into the economy, for Christ's sake. And you know what they're going to spend it on? Groceries.
Most likely, right? Because people got to eat.
Some people are going to go out and get pissed to the gills. That's going to happen. They would have done it otherwise without the extra money. It just gives them one more day to go on a rampage.
It's basically beer and popcorn again.
Yeah.
That beer and popcorn comment again. Just different form, but can't trust those poors.
But you can trust the billionaires who robbed us blind and destroyed the economy globally in 2008. How many bankers went to jail again? Oh, that's right. One in Iceland.
Yep. In the budget, other things that will be there, there will be, for students who have got an RESP, Registered Education Savings Plan, they will now be able to withdraw $8,000 annually from it rather than $5,000. So that limit's going to be increased.
That's cool.
There will be some moves to match what President Joe Biden has done in the United States with his Inflation Reduction Act, which is basically a green act for all intents and purposes. hydrogen and clean tech tax credits that were proposed in last fall's economic statement will be fleshed out in this budget, and there will be a 30% tax credit for capital investment costs in green tech manufacturing equipment. We can't match the United States dollar for dollar, of course, so we have to pick certain sectors and be very strategic about them. But that's part of the way that we are doing that. One of the differences between us and the United States is that we do have carbon regulatory pricing and the United States does not. So the United States does have to focus much more on technology and hoping that there will be some magical solution that comes down. Whereas we have one of the, if you call it a table, one of the 4 legs of the table that you absolutely must have to have a credible climate policy, which is carbon regulation pricing. And to that effect, it looks like the government will take some steps to lock in its carbon pricing system legislatively to make it harder to repeal. Apparently, the word on the tweet is that in the inner circles, they're calling it the Poliver insurance. Yeah. And it looks like another thing that will be there is a scrapping of junk fees, which are hidden charges tacked on to a product or service that inflates the final cost. There'll be other things in the budget, of course, because Chrystia Freeland has been talking about restraint. She sent the note to all the ministers saying that if you've got some asks, not more than a certain number, and if you have some asks, you've got to come to me with certain things that you're going to cut in your department to help fund them. But we have pressures from healthcare. We have pressures from the United States wanting us to spend more in defense, particularly NORAD. We've got housing that we need to build because, especially if we're going to be bringing in 500,000 new citizens per year. So there's lots of things on which to spend money as well. So that's one thing. Whether or not the government will still stay on track for the 2007-2008, I believe, balanced budget that they said they would achieve in the last budget is also a concern given rising interest rates, rising costs to service the debt, and a Bank of Canada that is trying to cool the economy. So there you go. Those are the things that we can be looking forward to in the budget. Also later this week, the report about the public inquiry into the events in Portapique.
Yes,
will be released this week as well.
That should be an interesting take. I'm curious to read that report. The abject failure of the RCMP in that particular instance, as he was well known to have been not a good man for a long time, and they just let him get away with it.
Yeah. Another little note on what happened at the school shooting in Tennessee that I forgot to mention. One positive thing that has happened in the coverage is that the spokesperson for the police force is referring to the attacker with proper pronouns. So while people are trying to do their things on one end, at least from the law enforcement side, that's going well. And just a reminder that Tennessee is the first state to have banned drag. Now, I'm not saying this has anything to do with it.
No. Well, that's why Dolly Parton said, she hopes she doesn't get outlawed because...
Yeah. But we're right now at the speculation phase, right? But it could very well be possible that a transgendered person who attended that school, who may have been bullied, who now sees their state as...
making them illegal for existing?
Yeah. And banning drag, why not? May have felt the walls closing in, and
who knows?
Who knows?
We may. Apparently, there was a manifesto written. I don't know if that's true. I heard that rumor. This was the 129th mass shooting in the United States this year. It's March 27th when it took
hasn't
place.
Been 129 days in the year yet.
No. Do you see how absurd that is? Yeah.
So yeah.
Here's the April Fool's joke for you, because April Fool's Day is Saturday, is it not?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, let's just check the old calendar here, and Saturday is April Fool's Day. Look at that. Well, here's what's happening on April Fool's Day. National shutdown protests remove the Liberals. We are demanding that the Governor General of Canada use her authority to remove the Liberals for unconstitutional governance. They tried this already with their MOU.
Unconstitutional governance of our country isn't a thing.
It's not a thing. It's rigged elections, broken democracy. Oh, that bullshit thing. Elections Canada and the head of the, the Conservative individual in the Conservative Party who oversees the election said there was no interference.
Yeah.
There was never interference. It's about influence, and we don't even know what took place there. So April 1st, the gathering. Morning prayer, drum circles. I'm biting my tongue on the expletives that are in my head right now.
Mm-hmm.
Artist Music Showcase, ACLF Freedom, ACLF Freedom. I don't even know what the hell that is. Various speakers to be announced. Veterans Call to Action. April 2nd, Culture and Ceremonies. Morning prayer, drum circle. Morning prayer, drum circle. Every day they're having a morning prayer and a drum circle. It's 5 days they're doing this. Do they have jobs, or am I paying for this? Because something tells me I'm paying for this. It's either through EI or welfare, which I'm going to continue to pay for. Don't get me wrong. But go to work. Contribute. This is a joke. You tried this once. You failed miserably. You will fail again. And if anybody thinks about camping in my neighborhood and causing havoc like you did a year ago, all of my compassion was used up at that time. I have no compassion for you. I have no patience for you, and I have no tolerance for you if you try that shit again. You will be met with an unkind voice, and we will not tolerate it. You will need to call the police against us because we will encircle you. We will shout you down. We will not allow you to take over our community again. We will not allow you to do what you did a year ago while the police stood by and did nothing. I have every reason to believe the Ottawa Police Force, the RCMP, the OPP, will do the bang-up job that they did the last couple of times they tried this shit.
Right.
I have every reason to believe that none of this, what we saw a year ago, will ever take place in this city ever again. It was never a protest. It was an occupation. And I got to get off that topic because I want to go to work in a happy mood.
Yep. Mr. Grizzly, I think we have a show.
We do indeed, sir.
All right, kids. That's the end of this episode of the Daily Beaver. We hope you loved listening to us because we very, very, very much enjoyed making this for you. Remember that sharing is caring, so please give us your word of mouth. Let your peeps know about us. Because democracy is something that you do, please still be writing your senators, your MPs, your MPPs, your media outlets. Let them know that you demand better, that what they are doing right now is just not good enough. Not good enough. If you really like this podcast, you can find us on Crier Media Network as well as all Beaver Grizzly friendly platforms. Stars and reviews are greatly appreciated. Thank you so very much. Kit Endlin says, great show. Have an awesome day. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. We love to hear from you, so please reach us on our Facebook, True North Eager Beaver, our Twitter feed, at True Eager, or by email at truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com. And you can subscribe to us via our pod page, podpage.com/the True North Eager Beaver, with a hyphen between each one of those words, lowercase letters. And when we have something fresh off the bandwidth, we'll come straight to you. And Kit Jen says, Douglas, you look gorgeous in pink. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. See, that sunshine to my day. Why not subscribe to our True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated YouTube channel? If that's where you're watching us right now, well, then smash that button, subscribe, and like. That helps us out big time. We're trying to get to 2,000. So, 1,000 first, then 2,000, so that we can monetize it. So if you just follow Mr. Grizzly's finger there, if you're watching, and press that button, that would be wonderful. We would love you. We can't do this without your kind and generous support. Sorry, my nose is itchy. There we go.
You're going to kiss a fool?
I'm going to kiss it. I just kissed a fool. If you feel that we've done a particularly good show, if you're watching, you can scan the QR code right above or beside Mr. Grizzly's head right there. And that will bring you to our emergency hot chocolate, Guinness, Caesar coffee fund. Depends on the day. Never know what we might buy. If you're listening, you can use those beautiful fingers to go to our coffee page. That's coffee, ko-fi.com/eagerbeaver, all in one word, lowercase letters. And there you can make your contribution. We appreciate every single nickel. Thank you very much. From the Beaver Lodge, this is your Eager Beaver saying, until next time, dear kids, it could be a tough world out there. So please be kind to and gentle with yourself. Mr. Grizzly, some words of wisdom, please.
Don't spill hot coffee in your lap.
Did you just do that?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I almost did it just before we started, though. And I was like, oh, and it was like hot, very hot at the time. It was very close. I almost did it. We would have started late had that happened, but it didn't happen. So just be cautious. When you have a hot beverage, be careful in how you handle it. You don't want to burn yourself or hurt others.
It's just, you just took a little before, so I thought, oh, you just did that, did you? Because I was going to say, you remained amazingly calm for the hot coffee hitting you.
I would have jumped.
Mr. Grizzly, roll the credits, please.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community and forum, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from fresh farm ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind.
Bye, everyone. Have a great day.
See ya.